live again. Woohoo! I put a little graphic in the background. Clearly you can't see it, but I put up pictures of NBA players. Maybe you can guess in the comments down below with no context of who it is. I also put a poll up, so my first time using a poll, so let me know if you guys can participate in the poll, and I'll see after this live if I can see the results. Like I said, still figuring out this live thing. I want to get on here and talk about some of the news that has been going on, in the NBA. And as you see by the title, it's about the Knicks, it's about the Lakers, it's about the Warriors, and it's about the Pacers. And that actually rhymed. But first I want to talk about the poll that I put up, and that is Ben Mathurin. And his former coach at Arizona said that Ben Mathurin has a good chance, to be at an all-star level, just like to have a long career with, high potential and just, doing good things in the league. And I always say, if you watch this page, I'm a fan of this, that, and the third. But honestly, I don't know if I made a video during that draft. Maybe I did. But I really liked Ben Mathurin coming out of that draft. I was very, very high on him. I thought he could be an all-star. So I still believe that. So I do agree with his, former college coach that Ben Mathurin has the potential to be an all-star in the league. I think, of course, the injury that he had held him back a little bit, of course. And so we didn't get to see, everything he could have done last year because of the injury. But I still think Ben Mathurin can be, and if he goes the way that, I projected him to go out of college, I think he will be an all-star in the future. I think you saw it his rookie season. One of the things that happened in his rookie season is they like to call it hitting the rookie wall, so to speak. And if I remember correctly, the second half of his rookie season, it was kind of like he hit the quote-unquote rookie wall, where like he was really, really good the first half, and the second half, wasn't as good. But that's part of like, the learning curve and stuff that happens to rookies, which is why it's called like hitting the rookie wall. So obviously I didn't expect that to continue, and I do expect this year for him to take a step forward. I expect him to be better this year, and I expect him to showcase why he was such a high draft pick. The only problem that he has, which isn't his fault, is the fact that Indiana, although they are not a championship contender in my mind yet, they traded for Siakam and just paid him all that money. We know that they, extended Miles Turner a little bit ago, and obviously Tyrese Halliburton got that big max extension. So while they aren't necessarily championship contenders like today, this season, they are heading towards win now mode. And Ben Mathurin, like I said, has the potential to be an all-star in my opinion. But is it too soon? Like, is he ready to be, like, obviously I think he could be like the sixth man on a championship team, right? Like at this moment, at this stage in his career, like something like that. But to be an all-star on a championship team right now, like I feel like it's going to be a little bit tough trying to get all those minutes to make an all-star team with the roster he currently has. And I'm not saying he's trying to just, take over the minutes from Siakam or Halliburton. I'm not saying he's trying to do that. I'm just saying to reach an all-star level, he's going to have to essentially force his way into like the 30-minute plus rotation. And like I said, it's going to be a little hard with the current roster that they have and the direction that they're, heading in. But I still think Ben Mathurin can be an all-star. I think he can do it. And I don't think it's unrealistic that he could do it with the Indiana Pacers. I'm just saying, like, this upcoming season, for example, it might be hard for him to be an all-star. Like, just based on what, what they've been doing. But maybe he has a huge breakout season. And then, he, like I said, forces his way to be someone who is a focal point of the offense. And then next year after that, he could be an all-star. So I still have high hopes for Ben Mathurin. I still think he could be an all-star. So, like, I see potential there. So that's the first thing I want to talk about, the Ben Mathurin thing. Like I said, I created a poll. So if you guys want to answer the poll about Ben Mathurin, will he be an all-star or not? Like I said, this is my first time doing a poll, so not exactly sure how I view the results after, but I will try to figure it out. But vote if you think Ben Mathurin will be an all-star, yes or no. And, let me know what you think. So the next topic I want to talk about is the New York Knicks, which is a great transition since the New York Knicks played them in the playoffs. So that's a good way to talk about the Knicks next. And obviously, bad blood is a little bit dramatic, but, there's some bad blood between Indiana and the Knicks just because, the Knicks lost to them. But the Knicks are apparently are targeting Nick Richards. Now, if you watch this page, my favorite thing to say, if you watch this page, you know that for a few months now, I have literally been saying the Knicks should go after Nick Richards. I believe I started to say this when, it became apparent that Isaiah Hartenstein might not re-sign and stuff like that. And so whenever I was making those videos, I've literally been saying for months, they should go after Nick Richards. Why? Nick Richards is, in a way, one of the most underrated centers in the NBA. Now, I'm not saying he is as good at this moment, for example, as Isaiah Hartenstein was. And I am not saying he is the most underrated center in terms of his production, because compared to some other centers, obviously his production wasn't as high last year, let's say, right? But what Nick Richards has is a super team-friendly contract. Very team-friendly. From what I remember, it's like a 2-year, $5 million deal. So team-friendly, yes. And the way that he plays, and he sort of had like a breakout season last year, he has the potential to be a great backup center for the New York Knicks. So I'm not saying he's going to go to the Knicks and be an all-star. That's not what I mean by great backup center. He's just, his style of play also, the way he plays, I feel like fits what the Knicks do very well. And I feel like he would just slide right into what they do and have no issue. And I just feel like he would help them because obviously losing Hartenstein was a big loss. And they do kind of need to replace Hartenstein. And with Mitchell Robinson, I believe they said he's not going to start the season. He's going to be injured to start the season. Still injured, rather. Still recovering from his injury. Hope he gets well soon. And so, even if he was back, when the season was starting, we know Mitchell Robinson has quite an injury history. And so you definitely, regardless of whether or not he was healthy to start the season, you need a backup center to Mitchell Robinson because, unfortunately, he could get hurt again, right? So, I think targeting Nick Richards and getting Nick Richards would be a very, very good pickup. Also because the Hornets are rebuilding, as we know, and as untapped potential, as much untapped potential as Nick Richards has, they have younger and other centers that they want to develop. So in a way, they could get Nick Richards for a bargain because although he can be a quality backup center, he is not being targeted as much as, some other centers around the league. And like I said, the Hornets don't need him as much because of the other centers that they have on their roster that they are trying to develop. So this could be a really, really, really good situation for the Knicks. Like I said, I've been saying this for a few months now, so I agree. I agree they should go after him and try to get him. Because the other thing is, if we go to Isaiah Hartenstein for a second again, Isaiah Hartenstein, I don't know if people remember, but Isaiah Hartenstein was in the G League. He started in the G League. Pretty sure he started in the G League. I say that because, besides the fact that I know he was in the G League, I actually saw him play once in the G League when he was on the Rockets G League team. He was on the Rockets G League team. This was 5 years ago, maybe. It was a while ago. And I remember watching him play, and I don't remember who else was on the roster at that time. I don't remember who they were playing against. I didn't go for any specific team. I just went to a G League game, and, I just went to see some good basketball. And so Isaiah Hartenstein was on the team. And I remember watching him and being like, this guy is like better than better than all these guys. Like, that's what it felt like when I watched him play that game. I don't know what his stats were for the season in the G League that year. I don't know if maybe the one game I went to, he was just way better than other games. Obviously, we know he's a good player now, but like, I don't know what he was doing that season. I just know I remember watching him and being like, this guy's better than better than most of these guys playing tonight. No offense to the other people. But like, he was, like, you could tell that he has potential to be in the NBA, at least from what I saw. So I say all that to say, he started in the G League and nobody really expected him to be what he was on the Knicks. Nobody really expected him. And I couldn't believe that the Clippers let him go. That made 0 sense to me when they let him go and he went to the Knicks. I could not understand that because he was really good on the Clippers too. So like, I still don't understand that by the Clippers, but I say all that to say, Nick Richards obviously is in the NBA. He's not in the G League right now, right? But there's a lot of untapped potential, and if you go to the right place at the right time in the right situation, he could be, I'm not saying he's going to be what Isaiah Hartenstein was in terms of what he did, but their next Isaiah Hartenstein, like the guy who people didn't expect, and he had a real impact. So I definitely agree with the Nick Richards move. That's one thing. The next thing I want to talk about is the Lakers. And that is, there was a report that came out today that the Lakers are willing to move their first round picks to, continue being a successful franchise, team, all that stuff. And it has been an interesting dynamic because we have heard reports that the Lakers obviously want to compete because they have LeBron, Anthony Davis, right? But one of the things that we have consistently seen, though, is that these like first round picks that they have, the few of them that they do have, they haven't really been willing to move them. And while they're saying they're open to moving them, what player are they willing to move them for? Like, which player are they targeting? And which player are they willing to move them for? Because right now, the market for, and I don't even know exactly, like, are they looking for a center? Because I've talked about it before that I don't understand why they went away from the model that they had with, Dwight Howard and then AD at the 4. It worked so well for them. I still can't understand that. They have not gone back to that. Like, they keep going in a different way. And right now, they basically have no centers on the roster. I don't know if you know that. Because Anthony Davis is technically, in a way, their only center. Why? Because Christian Wood, unfortunately, is hurt. And Christian Wood is, more of a 4 also, in a way. Like, I know he plays the 5 and whatever. Players play multiple positions nowadays. But he's also more of a 4, and he's there to, stretch the floor and shoot threes and stuff like that. So now they don't even have Christian Wood, right? And you could play Jared Vanderbilt at the 5, technically. But again, he's more of a 4. And if I have Anthony Davis out there, I want Anthony Davis playing the 5 and Jared Vanderbilt at the 4. But the problem with that is we've heard so many times that Anthony Davis doesn't really like playing the 5. And like I said, we've seen it be more effective when like Dwight was the 5 and AD was the 4. But they don't even have that option right now. So I guess if you're willing to move first round picks, you got to go after a center. Who are you going after? Which center is available? I don't know. That I don't know. Because if you think about, maybe they should go after Nick Richards. Well, what about that? I mean, I don't know if Nick Richards, I feel like Nick Richards fits better on the Knicks. But maybe they go after him. I don't know. Like, I feel like they need to go after a center at this point because the roster construction has not worked out the way that they wanted to. Austin Reeves has been really good. Like, he has developed, and that's fine. But if they want to get to a championship level, they have to elevate the roster in some way. And while Anthony Davis had, by some people's standards, the best year of his career last year, he's still in his prime. Imagine what he could have done if he was at the 4 and he didn't have to worry about certain responsibilities at times at the 5. So if I'm the Lakers, I'm trying to see what centers are available. So I guess that's where I would be looking. Of course, they always could use 3-point shooters and, players like that, scoring. LeBron plays well around shooters. But I'm saying to make Anthony Davis's life easier, because then it makes LeBron's life easier, because we've heard that LeBron, in a way, is trying to, pass the torch to AD. And while, LeBron is still holding the torch, so to speak, if Anthony Davis is having an easier time on the court because he has a Dwight Howard figure, at the center position, then AD can do more things, and then LeBron can rest more as well. So it kind of trickles down. So that's what I wanted to say. I see someone says, how do you feel about the Knicks? I actually just talked about the Knicks a couple minutes ago. So when I post, some of this live or whatever, when I post this live, you can go back and watch what I said about the Knicks. But I do think that they are in a good position right now, and I do think they're going to be the number 1 seed in the East next season. That's my opinion. And then the last thing I want to talk about is the Warriors. And the Warriors just signed Kevin Knox to a 1-year deal. Now, you're probably like, Kevin Knox was a former lottery pick of the New York Knicks. I believe he was the 9th overall pick. Correct me if I'm wrong. And unfortunately, he didn't live up to the 9th overall pick potential. He has been bounced around. His last stop was with the Pistons, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he was with the Pistons last year. He was with Portland a couple years ago. Obviously, like I said, the Knicks. I'm trying to remember if he was anywhere else. Not sure, but he's been bounced around, played in the G League, all that kind of stuff. So he hasn't found a consistent, role anywhere. And he obviously was drafted that high overall because of his potential. So, there is potential there. So the reason I want to talk about this is, I'm not saying Kevin Knox is coming to the Warriors and now he's going to be an all-star and that's just going to happen. That's not what I'm saying. I don't expect Kevin Knox to get a ton of minutes unless, he just goes crazy and then, he has to get a ton of minutes, right? So I'm not expecting him really to get many minutes, maybe even at all sometimes. Maybe he'll be in the G League sometimes. But the point is, I don't expect him to get a ton of minutes. But the reason I bring this up is teams who win championships, from my memory, always tend to get former lottery picks who are either past their prime or have been undervalued or untapped potential. So what I mean by that is, when you win a championship, again, I'm not saying this is a foolproof recipe, but I feel like from the teams that I've seen, they bring in a player who, like I said, was past their prime, but was a lottery pick. So they had really good IQ and they had good years in the past. And so we know they're a quality player. We know they know how to play basketball. So you have a veteran like that on the roster. Or a guy who, in this case, is Kevin Knox. But again, I'm not saying he's going to be an all-star. I'm just using him as an example. Someone who was a former lottery pick who, like I said, was drafted that high for a reason because of the untapped potential. And then all of a sudden, this player goes to a team where the team maximizes his skills and he learns how to play within their system. And all of a sudden, that player who was deemed just a G League player at that point is now a full-on rotation player helping that team win a championship. And like I said, I feel like we see this time and time again with championship teams. They always bring... I just saw something on my head. I don't know what that was. I'm not sure what that was, but that was cool. It said, join my team. Now I lost my train of thought. The point was, a championship team always has players like that. And, oh, I see. It says, sent a gift. I appreciate that, whoever sent the gift. I really, really appreciate that. That's very kind of you. So championship teams always have a player who was a lottery pick or a player who was, you know, a high IQ player in their career. So I say all that to say, well, Kevin Knox, again, for the third and final time, I'm not saying he's going to be an all-star, but maybe this is where Kevin Knox becomes a rotation player, maybe not even necessarily for the Warriors. Like I said, I don't expect him to get a lot of minutes right away, at least, you know, right now. But what if all of a sudden he shows potential and then next year he's on another team and he's actually fully in the rotation, like finally doing what people, you know, had expectations of him for. So I'm just saying, look out for Kevin Knox in that way. Like, just see if, you know, he potentially could be something for another team in the future or even the Warriors. So those are the things I wanted to talk about. And I appreciate everybody who participated and said hello. And like I said, the person who sent a gift, I appreciate you. And so I'll see you guys soon. Bye!